This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is Clarissa Sowememo-Coker, the CEO of Oxford Cannabinoid Technologies, following the publication of the company's half-year report. So Clarissa, just give us the highlights first of all, and of course main things I've taken away from that you are on track and on budget for phase 1, which is the big one, with results anticipated in Q2.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. So it was a really strong sort of consolidation period for us, I think, Mark, the period ending 31st of October 2022. A lot of groundwork laid for what we hope to be a very successful year this year. So in terms of operational highlights, for Programme 1, so 461201, our lead programme, the preclinical work with Evotec was almost completed during that period. It was actually completed in December, so period ending 31 October, but just a little bit more work after that, and we completed that preclinical work. During the period, we also signed up our phase 1 clinical trial provider, Simbec Orion, who have post-period end worked really hard with us to pull together the clinical trial application. I'm sure I'll mention that more in a moment, but so Programme 1, lots of good progress there and really setting us up for success for this year. Programme 2, the clinical work also continued. You'll remember that we paused the actual clinical phase of that programme back in August. We announced that we would pause it so that we could extend our cash runway, and that's been very successful. So the preclinical work we wanted to continue with, and we have continued with, because it was important to us to have that phase 1 ready asset at the end of that preclinical work. So that is all on track. So lots of preclinical work happened in the period, and we'll be ready for phase 1 with that compound, with that program in Q1 of this year, as we anticipated. Progress was also made across our other drug development programs 3 and 4. So from a board perspective and a team perspective, we've always felt it's important to keep working on that pipeline, that we can continue to generate value for the company, for our shareholders, as we progress. So the pipeline has been progressed. We've been continuing to screen those compounds, and we've also synthesized some new compounds for that library in our work with Dalriada and then Oxford STEM Tech doing the screening. We're again still on track to be at lead candidate and preclinical stage with 2 compounds during Q2 of this year. So that's all gone very well. Other operational highlights, we've had our first meeting of our scientific advisory board, who you'll remember, I think probably from speaking to Valentina about it, are tasked with really linking our strategy, our overall scientific strategy, to the clinical objectives, and in particular, and most importantly, the needs of patients. So they met in July last year, and they'll also be meeting again quite soon, but very important to kick that work off as it was. Financial highlights, we continue to manage cash very carefully. We ended the period with about 5 million in cash, which extends our runway all the way through to Q1 of 2024. That's with our phase 1 fully funded and the progress that I've just talked about, continuing. It was about 3.1 million of R&D spend in the period, the lion's share of that on Programme 1, as you'd expect. There's an R&D tax credit that was attributed to the period, but is due to come in at any moment, so 840,000. So yeah, it's been a solid period from a financial management point of view, and we're exactly sort of where we expected to be with cash and also with progress on our programs.
Excellent. Well, it's good to hear about the robust cash position they're taking you through to 2024. So, yeah, a good year away. You did mention there about some of the R&D and the tax rebate. That's quite important, isn't it, for a company such as yourself? There's a lot of tax relief that can be claimed, I think, from R&D, particularly with the pharma.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's a crucial part of our strategy, and like many other pharmaceutical drug development companies, that really is fundamental. So yes, obviously we surrender losses for those tax credits, and that is part of the plan. We've got another claim in at the moment, and there's a credit due to us, which will be coming in the second half of 2023 for about 1.4 million. So, it is a significant part of our strategy. You're absolutely right.
Excellent. Well, let's just talk briefly then about Programme 1. The application has been filled. We did speak to Val about that, and I did ask him if, that means the workload sort of lightens up a little bit now, but he said definitely not. Really, the work is just starting to get everything ready. So the application is filed, but you have to, just a lot of work to do, isn't there, to get over to the regulator and then to actually start work on the phase 1, which is scheduled for Q1, isn't it? So in the next 2 months.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, in terms of kickoff, it's sort of really happened already. So the first stage for us is filing that clinical trial application. That happened the first week of January. And then we had the meeting. So it's a combined clinical trial application, MHRA and REC, Ethics Committee review meeting. That was the first part of the process. That meeting went off fine last week before. So all on track with that. We're just now in the period where the MHRA are conducting their review, and we should have a decision on that very shortly. In terms of outcomes, there are sort of 3 possible outcomes from the MHRA review. They will either accept the trial as it's planned, as is, and off we go, start recruiting our healthy volunteers and get going. They'll accept it with some amendments or some tweaks that they'd like us to make. So we just have to make those changes and then off we go. Or they will reject it and say, no, here are the reasons for rejecting it. We're not expecting that to happen, given the amount of work that's gone in and the experienced partners we've been working with. But should it happen, you do have a sort of right of reply, and they give you reasons why they've made that decision. So it certainly wouldn't be the end of the game at that point. But we're very confident, given the work that's been put in and the significant work you referred to, particularly over Christmas as well. The team worked incredibly hard to make sure we hit those timeframes and got that meeting in the diary and met that timeframe. With all that work that's been undertaken, we're pretty confident we'll have a good outcome from the MHRA.
And you're hoping to hear back from the MHRA imminently?
Yeah, absolutely. So
okay.
The meeting, the application was filed, I think, on the 4th of January. The meeting with the REC was on the 11th, and that went fine. That went well. We need to now just wait for the MHRA to conduct their review, which can take a little while. So as soon as we know, you'll be one of the first to know, Mark. We'll be certainly updating the market about that.
But you're still on track for Q1 to effectively start the trial. Okay, yeah, and
yes, absolutely. The timeframes that we have communicated to the market are very conservative, because obviously we want to be careful about that. So yes, we should actually be in very good shape to get ourselves going within that anticipated timeframe.
Good. And Valentino did say that although you will have to wait till the end of the trial to get the concrete results, you'll actually start getting some results through almost immediately, won't you? I can't remember the phrase he used, but you can get sort of, I don't know, teaser results, let's say, I don't know, in the short term.
He probably said interim results, I would imagine, but we're all probably avoiding that because that's what we've been talking about from a financial basis today. Yes. So yeah, we will get those along the way. That's the sort of nature of this phase 1, where you're doing cohorts of healthy volunteers, and remember, we're testing safety, aren't we, and tolerability. Mm-hmm. So you get the sort of the sign off of the first cohort, and no adverse events, and it's been tolerated well, etc. And then you move to the next cohort. So that's, I think, what Valentino would have been referring to when he was talking about interim results or sort of teaser results. So they're not the official kind of data lock. Yes, here you're done, you've passed your phase 1, but along the way we'll have a very good indication of how things are going.
Okay. And Programme 2, Clarissa, then any updates on that you can share? Because I know that's still definitely on the cards for this year.
Yeah, that's right. So, we paused the clinical phase, which would be starting again around the same time as Programme 1 would have been starting, so that we could extend that cash runway, which we felt was important given the wider market conditions. But the preclinical work for that programme is almost now complete. We're just waiting on a couple of reports to finalise things, and we'll be able to say, we've got a phase 1 ready asset to the market quite shortly, I would imagine. And we'll certainly update the market when that is officially the case. In terms of what we do with it next, well, look, we've got cash to fund our phase 1 for Programme 1, and that takes us, and the other little bits of development we need to continue for Programmes 3 and 4. And that takes us, as we've said, all the way out to Q1 of 2024. So at the moment, that program 2 phase 1 isn't in that budget, but there's nothing to say that once we go back, we've got that phase 1 data in hand for our program 1, we've got those good results that we're expecting, and we go to the market to say, hey, look, here's what we want to do next. It might well be that there's appetite in the market to fund that phase 1 and at that point. So, we're certainly hopeful of that.
Okay, so potentially 2 programs entering the trials this year then, all being well. Excellent.
Yeah, quite possibly. Okay. Certainly, we'll have that phase 1 data. So we'll have a phase 2 ready program and a phase 1 ready program, also with that pipeline growing in the background, that Canopy library and our own library that we've been synthesizing along the way as well. So
excellent.
Yeah, good. Lots of exciting stuff to look forward to for 2023.
Yes, good. Well, thank you very much then for your time today, Clarissa Sowememo, the CEO of Oxford Cannabinoid Technologies.
Thanks, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.